So this was the hierarchy of memories that is present in a computer system. And so far, whatever we have written, whatever codes we have written, all were handling the information that is stored in the random access memory. So as I said, there is also a thing called buffer, which is, for a limited time, it will be storing the information before putting it in your screen or putting it back to the RAM or putting it back to your hard disk, that is secondary memory. But broadly, we can say whatever information we have handled so far with our codes, we have used or we have utilized the random access memory to store the information. But there is a problem with storing the information in the random access memory. The problem is random access memories are volatile. That means whenever the program is turned off or whenever we turn off the machine as well, the information will be gone. So we need to store the information permanently in certain place where we can where the information will be retained on some memory on some system shutdown or the termination of the code as well. And the solution is the secondary memory. As we know, secondary memory, that is our hard disk, maybe a CD drive or a pen drive as well. These are some examples of secondary memory where we can store the information which will be retained even if there is a shutdown of the system, or if we plug off the device from the system. So we started our discussion with the basic computer architecture. There we have discussed that everything that we will be handling directly will be through this primary memory, which is the RAM. The problem is, as I said, it will be removed, or the information that is stored or that is taken from the user while the execution of the code is going on, they are stored in this primary memory, and as soon as the program terminates, all the information will be removed or will be gone from future access. So we need to have a mechanism to store all those information in the secondary memory. The advantage, as I said, it will be retaining the memory, retaining the information on termination of the program or the shutdown of the system as well. And the information will be stored in the form of files. As we already handled, or we have already came across various types of files while using our computer system or even our smartphone as well. These are some of the file types that we came across, that we everyday handles. Raw text file, mostly having the extension .txt. Document files such as Microsoft Word doc or LibreOffice doc having the extension .doc, .docx, or some portable data format like PDF files. Image files having the extension JPEG, PNG, GIF, etc. Audio files like having extensions MP3, say AAC, and so on. And video files having various types of extensions such as MP4, MKV, MPEG, AVI, and so on. But in this course, we will be operating on raw text data. That is the first category, where the information will be stored as textual format. But you might be wondering that you might have heard already that Python is very much useful for image processing and video processing as well. But those file handlings will be not be discussed in this course. But let me give you a little uh, clue on where to get started. So there are certain packages like OpenCV, SciPy, and Python Imaging Library. These are certain packages which provide support for image processing as well as video processing. They are basically these audio files and video files and image files. These are actually stored as binary data, and this binary data handling can be done using this I mean some of this or either of these Python packages. Okay, but as I said, in this course we will be concentrating on raw textual data where the information is stored as text. Now what is file? A file is just a named location in our hard disk, or in general in the non-volatile memory. The advantage of using the file is it will be permanently storing the information in our secondary memory or the non-volatile memory. So also a text file can also be thought of as a sequence of lines. So this is a text file. This individual text can be thought of as a simple lines here. So one line, then another line, then another line, and so on. And after each line, so the end of the line will be specified by a new line character. For example, if I look at this file containing the name and the roll number of some of us, here as you can see, these are the characters which are stored in a file. So the first character is N, capital N, then AME, then certain number of spaces, then roll, then there is one /n character which is indicating that the next character will be written in the next line. Again certain characters, then space, then certain spaces, then again certain characters, then again /n. I am particularly talking about this file, or say this file. Here, these are the individual characters. This is the line number. You can ignore this for the time being. Or this is just an editor specific thing. So this is the first line, this is the second line. This is not actually the content of the file. So the first character is N, then name, then certain spaces, then roll, then there is a new line character, which is this. So the point is the text file can be thought of as a sequence of lines, and each line, the end of each line will be specified by the /n or the new line character. Now there are, as you can understand, there are broadly two types of operations that we can apply on a file. First is writing in a file, and file. But to write a file or to read a file or read the content from a file, we need to first open the file, and later on, after writing something, we need to close the file. So these are the first and the last step that should be applied on a file. The first step should be opening the file. Then we can apply these operations like writing in the file or reading from the file. And finally, we should be closing the file. So how to do that? So to open a file, there's a Python inbuilt function called open. The open function takes two arguments. One is file path, which is a mandatory argument, and another is an optional argument called mode. In the file path, we should be specifying the path of the file that we want to open. And the second parameter, which is not mandatory, which is optional, will be specifying whether we want to perform, or will be specifying what type of operation we will be applying on this file. So first, concentrate on the first argument, the file path. The file path is needed to be given as the absolute or the relative path of the file that we want to open. Now, what is absolute path? What is relative path? I'll be coming to that with an example. The second argument, as I said, is an optional argument, which is mode. By default, it is specified as read mode. So mode equals to, we need to specify a character here. The character options are R to specify read. That means I want to open this file in the reading mode. That is, I will be only reading from the file. Another option is write, which is specified by the character W. If we specify the mode as W, it will be opening this file on this path in the write mode. And there is another option called append, which is similar to write, but there are certain differences. I'll be discussing in a couple of minutes. As I said, this is an optional parameter. If we specify only the file path, the Python interpreter will be using or opening this file in the read mode. That is, it will be opened in the read-only mode. We will not be able to write in that file in that case. This open function, as we can understand, it is a function, so it can return something. The return object of this open function is an object of type file, and this object will be used for consequent operations on the file. As I said, the first operation on a file should be opening the file, and on opening the file using this open function, it will be returning a file object. And that file object can be used to apply different operations like reading from it, writing from it, or modifying the existing content. And if we specified one file path which is non-existing, and if we specify the mode as read mode, or if we just specify only the file path, in which case the mode is by default considered as a read mode, in that case, the situation is I am specifying a file path to read, but the file path is not present. In that case, it will be raising the Python interpreter will be raising a file not found exception or file not found error. So as we understand, to open a file in the read mode, the file must be existing. Otherwise, there is no point in reading from the file. Okay. Some examples of opening a file in the read mode is this. F equals to open, then the name of the file. This is the object. Basically, as I said, the open file will be returned. The open function will be returning an object of type file. This is basically returning the object type file, and that object is being stored here in F. Here, I am calling this open function with a single parameter, which is basically the file path. And as I am not putting any second parameter, by default, as I said, it will be considered for reading. Another way is just to provide the second parameter as a string as R, and another is using this named function calling or named parameter calling in function, where mode equals to R, which will be specifying that I want to open this file demofile.txt in the read mode. So all these three functions or all these three statements are same to open this demofile.txt in the reading mode, and the corresponding file object will be stored in F. Now to write a file, we need to open it in the writing mode. In that case, we need to specify F equals to open, then the name of the file in which we want to write, and we need to specify the mode as W, or we can simply write the first argument as the name of the file and then comma, then only the in quote W, like this. Okay. Note that if we want to read from the file, this file path should be existing. Otherwise, file not found error exception will be raised by the Python interpreter. In case we want to write in a file, this file path may not be existing. If it is existing, the existing content in the file will be overwritten by the entry or by the text that we will be putting in the file later on. Now let's look at this absolute path and the relative path in a detailed way. So absolute path is the location of a file from the root directory. For example, presently I am using one operating system based on Linux, basically Linux kernel, or which is basically a Unix operating system. Here the root directory starts from this slash. Okay, so this is the path or the absolute path of a file. The name of the file is feynman.txt, and this is the directory in which this feynman.txt file is present. Home, this is a directory. Inside that there is another directory, Doipayon. Then there is another directory called Dropbox. Then another directory called Courses. Then another directory called pip2020, say. Then another directory called Notebooks, and then another then the actual file, which is feynman.txt. Similar to that, if you are using one Windows operating system, in that case, this can be your this file based on where you are storing the file. Okay, let's briefly look at how this is actually looks like. Let's say, so this is at present, so this is the root directory, right? As I said, this is the root directory. Now, if I go to the corresponding folder, I'll be finding that actually I removed the file. Actually, I removed the file to another path. So here the file is stored in notebooks. So here you can see the feynman.txt file is present here. So here this is the entire file. Okay, and now to look at the, so this is the path. This is the path where this feynman.txt file is present. So the absolute path of feynman.txt is first this, all the directories, and then slash the name of the file. This is called path. There is another concept, as I said, mentioned here. It is called relative path. As you can guess from the name, it is relative to certain other place. Particularly, it is relative to PWD, or the present working directory. Let's say I am at present standing here. So this is my present working directory. So from here, the relative path of this file is just the name of the file. If I list all the directories in this folder, these are the directories or the files that are stored in this directory. Here, if I want to look at the relative path of feynman.txt, relative to this path, it will be, as I hope you can guess, it is basically this. So this is the relative path of feynman.txt relative to this directory. In other words, formally I can say the relative path of feynman.txt when the present working directory is this, is basically, sorry, is basically this. So vi is just for opening the file, the command. So this is the relative path of feynman.txt when the present working directory is this. To open a file in Python, either we should be providing the entire or the whole absolute path of the file or the relative path of the file. But note that the file should be existing in case we are opening the file for in the reading mode. I hope there is a connection drop for a couple of seconds. Okay. So let's look at the different file operations and the corresponding modes in a bit detailed way. So R is specifying the read mode. So if we specify R, or by default it is specified file in the read mode, it will be opening a file and it will be used for only reading. In other words, I can say that the file will be opened in the read-only mode. We will not be able to write into it. And in case the file is not existing, it will be basically raising a file not found error exception. And this is the default mode in the open function. That is, if we do not specify any mode, it will be by default considered for reading. The next file operation is W, which is write. It will be opening a file for writing. If the file is non-existent, it will be creating the file. And if the file is existing, then the entire content of the file will be removed, and the operation or the writing that we will be performing after opening the file in write mode will be replacing the existing content. There is another way of opening the file called in the X mode or in the create mode, which is similar to the W mode or the write mode or the vanilla write mode. But there is a small difference. In case the file is existing, it will be creating one exception. The exception will be file exists error. But in case for W, if the file is existing, it will be removing the entire content and start writing whatever will be writing using the consequent operations on the file. If the file is not existing, it will be creating the file. In either case, whatever you will be writing from your program will be written in the file, and the existing content, if the file is existing, will be removed. Unlike the case for X, where if you specify the mode as X, if the file is non-existing, it will be just creating the file and start writing into it. If the file is existing, we will be receiving a file exists error. The fourth mode is called append. The append is, if you open a file in the append mode, it will be opened for writing, and the file, the content that you will be writing will be written from the end of the file. That is, the existing content will be staying there. Let's say if we open this file in the append mode, and if we perform certain write operation in this file, the content will be written from here. Okay. Unlike the case for write, in that case, the entire content will be removed, and the thing you will be writing using the consequent write operations will be written here. And along with the opening mode, there are specific types. which specify what type of file is it. There are basically two types of files. One is text file and another is binary file. As I said in the beginning, we will be handling the text file, which is by default the case. In case we want to handle, say, photos or videos or images, or say, or in that case, we should be specifying the type as B or binary. So together, putting this together, the opening mode and type, if we specify both, and if we want to open a file, say open a binary file for writing, we should be specifying WB, both in the double quote. So double quote WB, double quote end. So by default, the mode and type is in quote RT. R specifies reading and T specifies the file is of type text, or it is a textual file. So by default, the opening mode and type is RT. Okay. So as I said, so to write a file, we should be opening the file in this mode. F equals to open, then the name of the file, that is not the name of the file, but the absolute path or the relative path of the file, comma, the mode will be W or WT when the operation or when the type of this file is text. Any question?
Sir, I was asking that if we want to operate on doc files, then will the process be the same?
Very good question. I really like your question. So in the beginning, I specified that text file, then document files such as Microsoft Office or say LibreOffice or OpenOffice, etc., or PDF files. So these files are not actually text files, although textual information are there. Why? I hope you can guess, because text file such as this one is only containing the text. There is no formatting information. Formatting such as capitalization, not capitalization, but say bold or say italics or say underlined. These information are not present or not actually. It's not possible to put those information in this raw text file. But for this type of doc or docx files, we know we can underline certain text. But if you copy that content into a text file, you will be realizing or you will be seeing that only the text information is being copied. Let's look at that. I'm really glad that you asked this question. I'm opening a LibreOffice, here. So let's say I write Indian Institute of Science. Now, if I make say this one as say italics, this one in say bold, and this one say underlined. Okay. And together with that, let's increase the font. Now, if I copy the content in a text file, if I paste it here, you can see only the textual information is being copied. By the information raw text data, I'm specifying this. Although there are textual information stored here in this type of docx or ODT or doc files, there are other information like formatting information, which is being stored in this type of doc files. Those type of files are not actually handled, or we will not be able to handle those type of files using this kind of open operations. There are other ways of doing that. But as I said, here we will be only considering the raw text file. So in a word, the answer to your question is no. We will not be able to open, or we will be able to open, but we will not be able to read from the file or write into the file if the file is of this type of docx or doc or PDF, using this type of simply opening the file. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot for asking. Yes, so we were discussing the write, and for reading, either we can only specify that either absolute path or relative path. We can specify the mode as well, but this is optional. As we want to read, this is the default mode. We can also specify RT. In that case, it will be basically the same. So RT is basically same as we not specifying any argument, which is specifying that R is for reading and T is for textual data. If we want to read an image file, if you want to read an image file, in that case, we should be specifying the mode as RB. Read, R specifying read, and B indicates binary, as image files are stored in the binary format. Okay, so the type will be always considered as T or text. So these are the main operations we'll be performing on the textual data to be handled in this course. Write and read, both of them on the text data. Now, after opening a file, we should be closing a file. So if we if a file which is opened for say writing and we forgot to close the file, the content might not be reflecting in the file entirely. Why? Because every time whenever we are writing something, by default they are being written in some buffer memory, which is a part of the random access memory. And whenever we'll be applying the close operation, then only the buffer will be written to the file, and then only it will be storing there. The information will be getting stored in the file upon the termination of the program as well. But if we forgot to close the file from the program, it might be the case, and it would be the case that the information will not be getting written in the file entirely. Okay, so let's first discuss this PWD and the things that we have discussed so far. So to check the present working directory, we can apply this pwd magic command in the notebook, in the IPython notebook. You can see the present working directory is this. Now, if we want to list the files that are stored here, you can see these are the files that are being stored in this path. Here's, for example, if we want to look at this name role.txt file, we can simply apply. So this is not, neither of these are any Python commands. I am just showing you using some Jupyter Notebook commands. These are Jupyter Notebook commands. Let's say name. So you can see this is the content. Okay. It's unusual why I'm getting this. Okay, so this is erroneous things that is coming here. I don't know why. This should not be coming here. This h equals to. So okay, never mind. And then so basically, if we want to open this file, as I said, there are two ways: either to specify the absolute path. If the present working directory is this, the absolute path is only the name. And if the present working directory is something else, we can anyway use the, pardon my words, if this is the present working directory, the relative path of this file is only the name. And if we want to use, or if we want to access this file, irrespective of the present working directory, we can use the absolute path. The absolute path is this. So less is the command to open the file. So the absolute path of the file is this. So as you can see, this is the file. Okay. All right. Now coming back to the discussion that we were having. So to open a file, we should be closing the file. Otherwise, the content that we have, the operations that we have performed on the file might not be getting reflected in the actual file, or they might get lost on termination of the program. So to open a file, as we have said, there is a function called open. To close a file, there is a similar function called close. And the close function should be called using the same object that was returned by the open function when opening the file. So f equals to open, then we can perform certain file operations on this file using this object, and then to close the file, we should be performing f.close. If we specify something other than f here, that object name should be placed here. If we specify, say, f1, then f1 equals to open, then f1 dot close should be used to close this file. So this type of way of opening a file and closing the file might be a little bit problematic. Why? Because let's say we are opening a file in the first line of our code, and the code is containing, say, thousands of lines, and we are operations on the file, and we might forget to actually call this function, or we might forget to call this close function using this file object. So there is actually a better way of opening and closing the file altogether. The way is using a keyword called with. So with open, this open, then the name of the file as f. So this will be a block. As you can see, there is a colon here. The content or the operation that we want to perform on the file will be specified to call this close function. But whenever the indentation will be back on execution of this, statement in this line onwards, or on reaching the when the execution will be reaching in this line, the file will be closed before that. So basically here this code block is specifying I'm opening the file in the first line, then in the operation in the code block I am performing certain operations on the file, and then implicitly the file is being closed. We don't need to call this f.close. So recapitulating, there are two ways to open and close a file. One is by explicitly closing the file after opening the file using the open function, and another is using the with keyword, where we are specifying the name of the file with together with the open function. Here this with code block will be implicitly closing the file upon the execution reaching out of this code block. Note that here f equals to open, and here with open as f. This is same as f equals to open this. Okay. To certain buffering purposes, there might be the case that certain content will not be written to the file directly. In that case, the information might get lost if we do not close the file. So let's look at them practically. So the first option for writing a file is f equals to open file name, then specifying this, then perform certain file operation, then closing the file. And second option is with open file name with w as f, perform certain write operation, and then on this statement onwards there will be no existence of f. And for reading, this is same. The first operation, the first option is f equals to open without specifying any mode or specifying the R mode. For the second option, with open file name, then R as f or the name of the file object, and perform certain read operations, and then that's it. So after opening a file, we should be performing certain operations. And as I said, on textual data, there are only two broad type of operations that we can perform. One is writing into the file, and another is reading from the file. So to write some content in a file, we should be either using the W mode to open the file, or A mode or append mode, or exclusively creation mode. So we will be mostly focusing on this W mode to create or to open a file in the write mode. Okay. Note, as I already mentioned, if the file is already existing, the entire content will be erased. And if the file is not existing, it will be creating this corresponding file in that path. So basically, if I execute this command from PWD or the present working directory, then this statement will be creating one file in that path. Let's look at that. And the writing, okay, so let's first look at that thing. So if I execute this statement, say f equals to open. So first of all, let's look at the present working directory or the content in the present working directory. As you can see, these are the files. So there is no file, say, named as text.txt. As you can see, there is no file named text.txt. So they are alphabetically sorted. So after students.txt, then there is a file called tuples.ipynb, the notebook file that I have used while discussing tuples. So let's open a file called, say, test.txt in the write mode. If I execute this command, then if I list the file, as you can see, this test.txt file has been created. But note that the content of the file is empty. As you can see, the content of the file is empty because I haven't written anything in that file. To write the content in the file, the corresponding function is called write. So the write function is basically f.write, or the object that I have created or the open function has returned. I will be using that object to write something. Say hello Python. If I execute this, there is an immediate output here, which will not be finding if you run the code from the terminals, from your certain terminal, say your Unix terminal or something similar. But from notebook, you can see there is an output 12. What is this? Written. If we count, you will be finding that there are 12 characters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then space 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these are the 12 characters that are being written in the file. Now, if I open the file once again, so as you can see, I want to write this hello Python in this file. So I have performed the corresponding operations. So is it written in the file? Let's check. No, it is not actually written in the file. Why? Because this information is being stored in the buffer. And the buffer will be stored in the, actually will be written in this file upon closing the file. After closing the file, if I now open the file, as you can see, hello Python has been written. Okay. All right. So let's look at some more programs. So writing in a file here, this is opening a file called, oh, another thing, good thing that came to my mind. After closing the file, if I want to perform another write operation, say hello again, it will be creating an error because f has been already closed, or the file object that was indicating to certain file is already being closed. As you can see, the error is specifying that input output operation on closed file. I want to write in a file which is being closed already. Okay, now look at this example. Now again, there is no file here. As you can see, there is no file called demo file1.txt. So after dictionary, after conditional statement, then there is dictionary practice. If I execute this file, if I execute this cell, as you can see, again, this is the last print statement or write statement. 1, 2, 3 is being written into the file. That's why 3 is being printed here. But this is nothing useful. After executing this, as you can see, it has already been executed. If I perform a list here, as you can see, demo file1.txt has been created. But still, as you can guess, nothing has been written so far. So I need to close the file. Then only it will be written in the file. So as you can see, I have written demo file1.txt, then /n. Note that this /n is not being printed. What is being printed is basically a new line. As we know, /n is the new line character. Then first line, then again /n, then second line again /n, then 1, 2, 3. First line /n new line, second line /n new line, then 1, 2, 3. The last character is being written, which is 3. Okay. So another way of doing the same thing is using this with statement or with keyword. Let's look at that also. This is the same thing. So with open demo file 2, check that there is no existence of demo file 2 here. Demo file 1, then dictionary practice. I am opening this file for writing. F is the object, f.write. So I am writing 3 lines. First line demo file 2.txt, then new line, then another line is first line /n, then second line /n. Okay, so altogether there are 3 lines. But note that unlike the earlier case, here the last written statement was 1, 2, 3. That's why there are only 4 lines. But here the number of statements, although 3, but there are 3 new lines. So on executing this, it will be creating 4 lines. Let's look at that. As you can see, there is no demo file 2.txt as of now. After executing this, if I perform one list, you can see demo file 2.txt has been created. If I open that file, as you can see, sorry. The new line has been created here. I mean, there is actually a new line, but there is no basically no new line here as such. But the next statement, if I perform another write statement in this file, it will be starting from here. Unlike the case for demo file 1, where the last statement is 1, 2, 3. In that case, it would have been written directly from here. Directly from here. So actually, this, the next statement will be written here. Got it? Okay. So this is the 2 ways of writing the content in a file. The next operation is reading from an existing file. Now note that to read from a file, the file should be existing. Otherwise, it would be raising one exception, that is file not found exception or file not found error. So as I said, to open the file, to read the file, we should be using the R mode. And while opening the file in R mode, the file will be opened as a sequence of strings. That is, each line in the file will be considered as an individual strings. And we can use a for loop to iterate through this sequence to read individual lines. And to perform the actual read operation, similar to the write function, there is a read function. So let's look at them practically. So we know that demo file 1.txt is containing this. Now if I execute this, what it is doing, it is first line is opening the file in the read mode. This is similar to not specifying this as well. This is similar. The next line, as I said, this open when the file is opened in the read mode will be as a sequence of strings. Note that we are handling raw textual data. That's why everything is string. Now for line in F, so here line will be basically the individual lines. Now if I execute this, as you can see, demo file 1.txt is being printed here. Demo file 1.txt, then file 1, first line, then second line, then 1, 2, 3. Extra new line, as you can see here, it is basically given by this. If I specify end equals to empty, then it will be exactly same as the content that is stored in this demo file 1.txt. And similar to writing the file using this with block, we can use the with block for reading as well. Here, there is another function that is called, which will be reading the entire content as a chunk of string. But we can also have this kind of statement here, like, let's first look at this. So let's first try to do this here. Then I'll be using this read function. So here I'm opening the file in the read mode. Execute this. Oops, sorry, there is no content here. Sorry. As you can see, the content in the demo file 2.txt, which is this, has been printed here. Here, note that I do not have to explicitly close the file. So there is another function, as I was saying, called read. It will read the entire file, entire content in the file at a time into a string. So here, this will be basically reading the content in a single, as a single string. So if I print the content here, you can see the entire content has been stored as it was in this file into this string. I hope you can understand that the type of this content is basically string. Okay. Then the next operation we'll be looking at is reading a file line by line. Okay. So there are broadly two ways of reading the file line by line. One we have already shown using this for, and another is while using this with statement or the while statement as well. These are same. As you can see here, what I am doing is after opening the file, I'm using the file object with this for loop. Here individual lines are treated similar to here. If we apply the while loop here, we should be having, or we should be storing, or we should be applying another variant of read function before applying this while statement. What I am doing, or what this is doing, is this read line function, which is a variant of the read function that I have already discussed. This read line function, unlike the read function which was reading the entire content together, this read line function will be reading the individual lines one after the other. Okay, let's look at them programmatically. So this is the way that we have already done. We can specify the end as empty so that it will be exactly same as the content of the file. And using the while loop, what we can do is, with opening the file, first we are applying this read line function on this file object. The content is being, or the entire line is being forwarded or returned to this line of string object, and then while line, we are printing the line and we are repeating this statement inside this while loop. Now, as you can see, it is printing the same thing. If I specify this, it will be as it is in the demo file 2.txt. But I would like to draw your attention to one thing here. Here, the while statement is while line. So upon reading the last line, the line will be empty. So in the first statement, so basically in the line number 2, this, so if we open this demo file 2.txt, so this is the demo file 2.txt, as you can see. Sorry. Here, the first line, so this line will be first containing demo file 2.txt. So while something other than, so basically while true, so demo file, so line is containing demo file 2.txt, which is true. As we know, only 0 is false, or empty is false, or none is false. So line is demo file 2.txt, so this line is being printed. Then the line is containing first line. So while first line true, first line is being printed. Then the line is containing second line. So while second line, print second line, this second line is being printed. Then after printing the second line, this statement line equals to f dot read line will be empty. Will be reading an empty string, and on applying that empty string with the while statement, it will be terminating the while loop. So this is another way of reading the file line by line using the while loop. But yes, question.
Sir, for the
Yes.
for loop, the line was not specified like what it is. So
No, here I'm specifying it.
So
I understand. I understand. So basically, the line here is basically, I mean, so I think you are asking about when we are realizing that it's a completion of a line.
Yes, sir. That's the question.
Yeah. So basically, as we know, there is a /n here, right? So otherwise, if I manually edit this file, say there is only one line, as you can see, it is containing this. In that case, this statement will be, I mean, line will be only one time this for loop will be executed, and the line will be containing this demo file 2.txt first space, so entire thing all together. So let's look at that. Oops, sorry. So I have saved the file into the demo2.txt. Now if I execute this, As you can see, demo2, the entire content was being read in a single line. How I am seeing that it's a single line? Let's just do the same thing here. Let's just apply these two lines. We will be getting the same output. Oops. Demo file.2. Okay. So there is one small issue with this statement. Oh, not actually. So, okay. Let's put it like this. Let's not confuse yourself. So, as you can see, if I execute this, there is no immediate output. Now, let's print the content stored in the line. So, it will be exactly same as this. Let's execute this. As you can see, it's exactly same as this. Because there is only a single line here, although I have applied this for loop, this statement, so basically the for loop is being executed only once. So now you can guess or you can understand that using this for loop, or if we apply this for loop to read the file line by line, the for loop will be executed exactly the same number of time as the number of lines in the file. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So, yes, so.
Sir, I had a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, I couldn't understand why that second, for the while loop, that second line equals to, I mean, within the while loop, that second line equals to f dot read line is given. I mean, I couldn't get the point.
Okay. So what this is doing is, so let's look at the file once again. This is the old file, right? Demo file2.txt. So here, what I am doing is, so let's go through this code line by line. The first line is basically opening the file in read mode. Basically reading the first line, isn't it? So if I print so let's, I mean, if we just exclude them, I mean, if we have only these two statements, if I execute this, what will be the output? Can you guess? Can you guess what will be the output? The demo file 2.txt is this.
It will be printing the whole
The first line, and then demo file 2.txt, isn't it? Isn't it? Come on, please respond. Okay. So let's just execute it. As you can see, the first line, demo file 2.txt. So what it is doing is, it is reading the first line and storing it in line. Now, as I was saying, this while loop is checking whether the line read or the last line read, I mean, so far the last line that have been read is empty or not. Here, empty means end of file. End of file. Whether the last line that has been read is empty or not. So now line is containing what? Demo file 2.txt, isn't it? So it is being printed. And then again, this statement, on execution of this statement, which is same as the line 2, here line will be first line. Then while in quote first line. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So now if I execute, so you will be seeing that after this will be printed from here, and then again demo2.txt from here, then first line, then second line. Okay, the extra line is being printed from here. If we specify end equals to here, so this is actually the content This is the pre-read first line. This is the basically the pre-read first line, and this is basically doing the checking whether the last line that has been read by the program is empty. Empty specifies the end of file. So on reading the last line, so now, I mean, if I print line here, can you guess what will be printed? So line was last initialized by, I mean, line is containing something that is not true, right? That's why this while loop execution has been terminated. So what is line? Can you guess?
So you're printing the last line, I guess. The second line.
Second line. No, if it is containing second line, then it would have been true. It's still not clear. Let me go once again with the step by step. So in the beginning, line is containing demo2, demo file 2.txt. I'm checking while true or not, while line. So line is containing what? Demo file 2.txt, right? So that demo file 2.txt is being printed. Then the line is initialized with the next line, which is first line. While first line, because line is containing this first line, right? Then that first line is being printed. Then again line equals to f.readline is executed, and this line is initialized with second line. Now while loop is again come here, the condition checking while line is containing what? Tell me.
Nothing.
No. At that point it is containing second line.
Okay, yes.
Second line. Then second line is being printed. Then after printing the second line, what is this line is containing? It is containing empty.
Yes.
That's why this while loop is executed. I mean, the execution of this while loop is terminated. So as I said, if I execute this, I'll be getting nothing because line is containing no value. So let's line is containing quote, then quote ending, then quote, then and then specify shape as empty. You can see line is containing just nothing here. So this quote, the opening quote is this quote, and this closing quote is this quote. In between line is just empty. There is nothing in between. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Great. All right, moving ahead. So let's say we are given a file, and you are asked to write a program to count the number of lines in the file. So that is simple. I mean, using this for loop, you can simply first, after opening the file, you can simply create one variable count initialized to 0, and then on execution of this for loop, we'll be just incrementing the value of this count by 1. So one time this for loop has been executed means one line read. So this statement count plus equals to 1 will be executed exactly the same number of time the number of lines in this file, right? Let's look at that as well. So demo file 1.txt, as you can see, there are 4 lines. Let's look at that. Let's check that there are basically 4 lines. The next operation is print all the lines containing, say, names in nameroll.txt file. So nameroll.txt file is a 2-column file. Name of certain candidates, then roll, basically name, roll. So from this file, I want to only print all the names. How can I do that? It's simple. I can simply go through line by line in this file, right, using the for loop or the while loop, and I'll be checking whether the file or whether the line is containing the first word as name or not. So after reading, I can use this. There is another function in string called starts with. So if I have already written the code for you guys. So if I apply this, you can see individual lines are being printed, right? Now individual, so line is containing first this, then this, then this, and so on. Now I know the format of the file is the first column is basically name role alternatively. If I want to print all the names, then I just need to check if line dot, there is a function called starts with, I can specify name, then only I'll be printing the corresponding line. If I execute this, it will be only printing the line, the names. Okay. So the same, in the same way, like I mean, this is actually the same code. So as you can see from this output, so if I execute actually this, I actually addressed that. So the output, there is an extra line in between. So the line is coming from, the extra line is being coming from this extra line. So basically this line is containing one /n itself. Here, although I am specifying one ending as empty, these lines are being printed in different lines, as you can see, because the last character in this line, so line is a string, right? So the last character in this string is actually /n. That's why individually they are being printed in different lines, although I have specified ending with an empty character, right? So this is the reason reading or after applying this for loop or using the readline function, by default there will be a /n character at the end of the. So we can also strip the extra space at the end using the strip or rstrip function. So if I apply line dot strip, can you guess what will be the output of this? Can anyone guess what will be the output of this?
Will it come in the same line together?
Correct. They will be printed in the same line. So namespace, this space was there in between, but earlier it was after Alolika, there was a /n character, right? Which was causing the next name of Amit to be printed in the next line. Now, after applying the strip function is basically removing that last /n character which was there at the end of this strip to remove. I mean, as we already have used strip, rstrip, lstrip to remove the extra spaces from the beginning, from the ending, or from both sides. The strip can also be used to remove the end of line character from the end. Okay. So let's consider another program, another scenario. So select the roll numbers of only the research scholars. So let's say these are the roll numbers, name roll number pairs. So Amit is a research scholar, Oyon is a research scholar, and I think, yeah, Jivitesh is a research scholar here, and Kanav also is a research scholar. So I want to extract only these. This is again using certain string functions, I can do that. So first of all, to select only the lines with the roll, we can use the starts with function, and we can use this membership operator on that line to filter out the research scholars, because we know that the roll numbers of the research scholars will be containing RS. So if I execute this, we'll be getting the roll number of only those 4 who were research scholars. Okay, so here what I am doing, I'm opening the file, then I am reading the file line after the other, then I am stripping the last /n character from the line, and then I am checking this starts with whether it is actually the line that I am containing, that the line is containing is actually containing one roll number or not. And if it is containing a roll number, I am checking whether this string RS is actually present in that line or not. If it is present, I am printing that line. Okay, this is a line by line walkthrough of this small snippet. Research scholars, here names as well as the roll numbers. So it is a little bit tricky. Here what I am doing is I will be, instead of printing, so earlier, so this code, if I exclude this, or let's just not confuse. Okay, let's just print say line. So we know this will be printing all the names. Now the task is to select the names as well as the roll number of only the research scholars. So first of all, if I want to exclude this thing, we can use this replace function. So here this will be printing only the names. Here what I am doing is I am using this, applying this replace function on the line and replacing this none, replacing this namespace as we can see that. So this is printing only the names. Now come back to our. What I am doing is what I want to do is basically okay, sorry. Now I want to actually print the corresponding roll numbers as well for only those for which the roll number is basically RS. So if I simply execute this, we can see Oyon roll number, Jivitesh roll number, Kanab roll number, all 4 are research scholars in this course. So to save some time, as you can understand, I have already written the code for you. I hope playing with this code, you'll be learning. I mean, you'll be actually, after practicing, you'll be understanding this in a better way. Okay. Moving ahead. So if we want file taking the inputs from the user, so here, instead of writing the file in a static file name, I want to take the name of the file as a user input. Here what I am doing is I am taking the name as the user input and I am opening that file in the write mode. So my target is roll number of, I want to store the name and roll number of all the research scholars in a file, and the name of the file will be given to the program as a user input. So here what I am doing, I am taking the name as user input, I am opening that file in the write mode, and I am doing the same thing what I have already written here. Instead of here, what I was doing is I should be applying this or calling this write function on this output file operator or output file object that I have been created. So here it is output file, so it's same. So let's go through this code line by line. First of all, I am taking the file name as input from the user. I'm opening a file with the same name in the write mode. Okay, and then this is the same as the earlier code, as this code. I am selecting the name and roll number of all the research scholars. Now, instead of printing, the last statement was print last name and that is last read name and roll. Here, I will be applying this write function or calling this write function on this file. Now, if I execute this, so first of all, it will be taking one file name as input from me. Let's say output of say name roll dot txt. So let's check that there is no file name output or anything with O, only operator. So if I give this, as you can see, the file has been the cell has been executed. Now if I list, as you can see, output name roll.txt file has been created. What is expected? This file is expected to be containing this information, right? Isn't it? Let's check. Sorry, extremely sorry. I've messed up things. So vi output, as you can see, it is containing nothing. Why? What is wrong with this code? Can someone guess? It should have been containing this information, because this information, instead of writing in the screen, printing in the screen, I'm applying this write function and I want to print that or write that in this output file, which I am giving as user input. Now, on opening the file, I can see it is empty. Why? Please answer. Because
We didn't
all
open the output file, I guess.
yes. Sorry, can you please repeat once again what you said?
We didn't close the output.
Correct. Although we have opened the file that we have read using this with statement, but this file that we are opening in the write mode has not been closed. So what we need to do is output file dot close. If we call this, we haven't called this. You can see it is empty. Now, if I call this, see, the research scholars name and their respective roll numbers have been written here.
Sir, can we do the same thing by first creating the file with that X mode instead of
using that X mode? Still, I mean, if we use instead of using this, we can use the X as well. But there is one, here in this case, it is okay. First time, now this is already an existing file, right? As you can see, this file is already existing. Outputs. So now this X mode will not be working. So if I execute this and if I give this same name as input, it will be creating file exists error. But now if I remove the file, now as you can see, there is no output name roll.txt file is there. Now if I execute this, it is okay. As you can see, although I have specified X mode, it is now okay because this file was non-existing when I have executed this cell. Now, as you can see, if I execute, file is there now, and it is actually containing the expected. Of course, I need to close it. Then it will be containing the content. But now, if I re-execute this cell again, it will be creating an error. because this file is already existing. You understood what is the difference of using W and X here?
So, sir, if this was a user-given program, and like we have to make new files every time
Mhm,
for different class. Suppose
mhm,
for physics department, we are making the list of research scholars, and then for
mhm,
earth sciences, we are making another list of research scholars. So
mhm.
then create function will be more helpful than making this function than using the right function, because then otherwise it will be overwriting the existing
Excellent
file.
explanation. Excellent explanation. Exactly. That is the use of X here. Your explanation is excellent. Exactly that is the reason. So I mean, recapping the things up, what you have said. So basically, let's consider you have different departments, say physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Now, if I use W here and say I am specifying a program to select, so from the ISER database, I want to select the physics research scholars and want to write in a file, the mathematics research scholars write in another file, and for chemistry research scholars write in another file. So if accidentally I have provided the same file name, and if I use W here, the existing content that was written here will be overwritten. Suppose that was containing the research scholar of say biology, maybe, and I don't know at that point, because I don't, I mean, unaware of all the files that was stored in that present working directory. So in that case, if I use W, it will be overwriting the useful information. It might overwrite some useful information. So you are absolutely correct. In those cases, we should be using this X mode to open the file to write. Thanks a lot for this, I mean, pointing this and giving the explanation yourself. Okay, so we need to close the file. So we will be concluding today's discussion with just this small hack here. Here, as you can see, here in this code, I need to, I mean, close this file here because I have opened it outside this with block. I can actually specify multiple files here in a single with block. So with open, this for reading and this for writing. I can write this. So that is uh, so actually, so this was the name of the file, right? Name role.txt. So here, instead of opening the file in the read mode here, I am opening the file in the read mode, sorry, write mode, either using W or using X uh, from inside this with statement or with block. In that case, I can exclude closing the explicit closing of the file. Okay, so this is actually valid. So here we can specify multiple open statements in the with statement. In case your program needs to open certain other files as well, we can specify this kind of open statements separated by comma. Here this as is actually working as an alias. So instead of, so we were opening earlier with app equals to open, here open as this is basically, this is basically considered, will be considered as the file object. Here again a file object, the file is opened in the write mode here and read mode here. Okay, as you can see in the program, I am reading the file from this IP and writing the file in this OP, input, output. So I as a practice program, let's say Alice has used a text editing software to type some text. After saving the article as in a file called say words.txt, she realized that she has wrongly typed alphabet J in place of alphabet I everywhere in the file. The program should be opening this words.txt file in the read mode and will be replacing all the J's with I's and will be storing in another file. This is the first program that I would ask you to write. The second program is write a program to make a student information system where the program should consider saving the information, pardon my typo here, in a file upon closing the file or closing the program and read the content from the file before execution starts. So I would request you to write these two programs at your end. That's it on file handling only. There would not be any file handling 2 as such. If you have certain confusion, we can again discuss some certain points. But that's it for file handling in Python. Thank you so much. Any questions? I will be sharing this file, this slide, as well as the Jupyter notebook that I have used to write the codes that I have written in this class.